everyone, welcome back. Super excited for another fun weekend of seed starting. This weekend I am just doing 2 different varieties, and that is going to be a second round of Snapdragons and Eryngium. Now, sea holly or Eryngium was supposed to be done last month. However, I read that if you wanted to have better results with your germination, that you needed to put them in the fridge or the freezer for a certain amount of time. So I went ahead and did so. And I really don't mind, because when I was looking up about sea holly, I also read that it is also a perennial, by the way, that it works on its taproot the first year. So you probably won't be getting, if any, flowers the first year. So I'm like, you know what? That's totally fine. I was debating if I just wanted to winter sow all of them or not, but because I am putting these with my blue hydrangeas, I really wanted some plants so I could see exactly where I wanted to plant them out, and that way they'll be hopefully a little bit bigger. So that little perennial garden where I have my irises and my blue hydrangeas, I really wanted everything like a nice blue tone there. So I thought that these sea hollies would do fantastic over there. So I'm going to do some 40 cell trays with the Eryngium. And then again, like I said, if I have anything left over, I will be winter sowing them, because I did pick up some lupin seeds. So I'm going to try those out as well. And hey, if you're new here, my name is Christy. I am located in Western Massachusetts, Zone 6A, and my average last frost date is around May 10th, 15th. It moves quite frequently, I feel like. And I just try and go around that May 10th to 15th, whatever weekend that falls on, basically. So Eryngium we will be starting today, and then I'm going to be doing my second round of Snapdragon. So first, I'm going to tell you which varieties I am planting today, especially for Snapdragon. So I did already seed start my first round, so you can definitely check out that video. It'll be a little bit more in detail on seed starting them. This time I'm probably just going to tell you which varieties I am planting out and trying to get them all done as soon as possible, because we never know when my little one is waking up from nap time. So let's talk about what we are starting today. So the first thing I noticed when I was looking at the back of the seed packet, I bought these sea hollies, by the way, from Johnny's, was it says days to maturity, 365 days. And I was like, dang, it is going to be one of those perennials where I'm going to get nothing out of it this first year. But that's okay, because I really wanted to invest in some more perennials. I did a ton last year, and I'm slowly learning about new perennials that work great in cut flower bouquets. And I plan on hopefully having these for next year to sell at my roadside flower stand. Now, I have 3 different varieties. I actually have 1 from Johnny's and 2 from Swallowtail. So from Johnny's, I have blue glitter. And then from Swallowtail, I have blue cap and white glitter. And I honestly can't remember if I even already winter sowed these or not, now that I'm thinking about it. But you know what? They are buried under 2 feet of snow, so we won't find out anytime soon. But I feel like with perennials, you can just never have enough. I have a vision of where I'm going to put it. And let's see how much we can cram in there, because I do believe I want to put some of the globe thistle as well. Anyways, these have been in my fridge for about 2.5 or 3 weeks or so. I was supposed to start them on January 18th. So I guess we're probably about like 2.5 weeks. So I'm hoping that helps. I was watching someone else planting them, and they had some germination, but not the best. And then she put some new seeds in the fridge for a couple of weeks and then had a lot better results. So we're going to get these started. This is probably something I should have just winter sowed, but again, I just want a bigger plant. So these are going to be in a 40 cell count for the Eryngium. It is great for cut flowers is what I am looking for, especially a blue and dried flowers. I would really love to work on my dried flowers for in the next few years once I get my trees cleared in the back and we have more field to plant flowers in. I would love to have a couple perennial strips out there, especially anything that I can go ahead and dry. So this is going to take anywhere from 7 to 10 days to germinate, and you're going to keep it at about 72 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit on your heat mat. I love using my heat mats. I have 2 4-foot long ones, and they have 2 smaller ones where you basically can fit like one single tray on it. And I like that for things that might either need something a little bit cooler or something a little bit warmer, or if I just don't have enough room, I can chuck them somewhere pretty easily. So I do have all of my Snapdragons from round 1 off of my heat mats. They took about 6 to 7 days to germinate. So I moved those off actually last night, so that way I could make some room for what we are growing today. Now, when looking at my notes, it says that they will need light to germinate, and you should be starting them anywhere from 8 to 10 weeks out before your last frost date. So we are right in that range. Well, we're probably about the 8-week, 7-week mark. So I think that'll be totally fine. So yes, light to germinate. And then it also says that you should put them in 2 to 4 inch pots 5 to 8 weeks after they start to emerge. So that will be like probably right before planting them out. I think what I'm going to do is just keep an eye on them. And if they start looking a little like sad in there, like my coneflower, I feel like you can start telling once the leaves are starting to turn colors. I do have some pots that I purchased at the dollar store. I believe it was like $1.50 or $1.75 for a 12 pack. And they have been holding up phenomenally. Like my kids like to make towers out of them when they come up here. And so if they can handle 2 kids, then I think it's a pretty darn good deal. All right. And then this is the big thing right here. So it says that growing on, you want to grow them at 55 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit and avoid temperatures over 70 degrees. So I plan on taking my new shop lights that I got from Costco, and I'm actually going to just use the whole rack that I have my ranunculus on. I plan on doing that either tonight or tomorrow morning and just setting up some more lights down there. So they'll go down with my ranunculus, and that is in the basement. It holds a good temperature of around 55 degrees or so. It's a lot cooler. My bedroom right now stays at around 63 degrees. We try and keep the heat no higher than that just because of the plants. And also though, it's starting to get sunnier longer, and we have these amazingly big windows in here, and this room can get pretty warm. So anything that needs to grow on when it's cooler, I will be moving down to the basement. So I'll have a rack down there, which is nice, but sometimes I forget about it. So I'm trying to make sure I get some timers down there, especially with my ranunculus. Sometimes I forget. I'm like, oh, good. They're going to only get a few hours until I go to bed, but that's another story. We're going to work on that later. One reason why I'm also growing these is because it does not only have that nice sparkle of blue, and I also have the white variety, is that you can dry them and they can last up to 2 weeks in the vase life. So I'm trying to get things that will last a little bit longer. And I just really love the texture of them, which is something really interesting, I feel like. And I think it's really cool for people that don't really get to see local flowers to get that nice little variety. And I think just adding even like a little spike of them into a bouquet is just going to be perfect. So as I mentioned before we get started, I am going to be growing them in these 40 cell trays. I got these off of Amazon. This is my 2nd year using them, and they're actually holding up pretty good, except for maybe the bottom tray that kind of got like a little bit shuffled around in my greenhouse. But other than that, they've been holding up well for this being their 3rd year being used. And then when I move on to the Snapdragons, I still have a few 128 cell count trays left. So I'm going to use 2 of them hopefully up. But for the Eryngium, we're just going to surface sow these. I'm going to really try. I have actually never seen how big the seeds are. I'm hoping they're not too small, because I would like to have at least only 1 per cell or 2 max. And then maybe when we pot them up, they'll do a little bit better with that taproot if I do have more than 1 in there. So everything is already pre-moistened. My kids love to do this right before nap time. My little one comes up, he helps me dampen the dirt. My daughter decided to join in as well. So everything is going to be nice and damp. If you wring it like a sponge, it should still hold its form when you open up your palm, and it shouldn't be having a bunch of water droplets. If that's the case, then you can just add a little bit more of your potting mix or seed starting mix, and you should be good to go. And before I forget, I am using potting soil. I have been using Pro Mix, and I've had some really good results with it right now. I usually used to use a Spoma seed starting mix, but I found it dried out really fast, and it's expensive, especially if you are starting a lot of seeds. So we are giving potting soil a try this year. So let's get to this. All right, so I do have to make my plant tags because I forgot to do so. All right, but we're gonna start with our 2 swallowtail varieties. I'm probably gonna just split them in half, and then we'll see how many seeds we have left. If not, maybe I'll just do like 2/3 of this one with one kind, transfer some over to this other one right here. And then, I don't know, I wasn't planning this very well. So we have blue cap. And again, today is going to be the 31st. I'm super excited. We are doing Groundhog's Day in the classroom. So if you're new here, I'm also a full-time preschool teacher. I teach 4- and 5-year-olds, so pre-K. And we just did Groundhog's Day, and my goodness, do I hope that spring comes. But what's really funny is we learned a fun fact about Groundhog's Day, and that is that the groundhog is only 35% accurate. And usually when the groundhog sees his shadow, and it means 6 more weeks of winter, usually winter isn't that long. So either way, hopefully spring will come sooner. But I have a lot to plant out, and I don't know how I'm going to do so. All right, let's see here. So these are actually not too small, so that's great. Except they don't want to come out of the bag. All right, let's see here. And I really just want to use all of these as much as possible because I really want to go heavy on the perennials, and I also want to put some of these in the school that I work at. So I honestly think I am going to easily be able to put 1 per cell. And remember, it says it needs light to germinate. So I'm just going to put 1, and then I'm going to try and save some, and maybe I will just, let me see. Maybe I will just winter sow the rest. So I'm just going to lightly tap these on. Oh, so much easier than Snapdragons, let me tell you. So I'm just going to do half the tray, and then maybe I will do a full tray from Johnny's. Oh, well, oh, there we go. And I still want to make sure that they have good contact with soil, even though it says it needs light to germinate. I really do love that mister that I have. So again, huge thanks to whoever suggested one. I do have it linked in the description if you would like to grab one for yourself. And I already lied. I'm going to just do a little bit more. All right, so I'm just going to carry my next variety over to, there we go, that should be good. And I do have a few left, so we'll save those, and I will do some winter sowing. I love winter sowing, but mine are totally buried under like 2 feet of snow. So I'm gonna get a little bit closer so you can see these, and we'll do the rest together, and then we'll speed through it. All right, so it's pretty darn easy to see where the seeds are. I'm gonna show you the white glitter ones. These ones actually look a little bit smaller than the blue cap, so let's see how we do. And there's actually not as many, so it might be good that I only have a couple of trays. All right. Oh goodness, there's like 10 seeds in here. Okay, so you know what? I should hopefully have enough. There's 8 cells, but this is the white glitter. Way different than the blue cap. They're smaller. So we really want to make sure that they have good contact with the soil. So I'm just going to tamp this down a little bit better with my finger. And then we'll also top these. Oh my gosh, I can't even pick it up because I cut my nails. We'll also top these with some vermiculite. Oh my goodness, I legit can't pick these up. Oh my gosh, look at that, there's 8. 8, how perfect. All right, I'm just gonna make sure that these have some contact with the soil. And then what we will do is we're gonna give them a good spritz. And then I like to do it in 2 different ways. I will spritz it, and then I'll put vermiculite, and then I'm gonna spritz it one more time. But this just helps ensure that they will get that contact they need. And I mean, look how awesome this thing is. All right, then we're gonna top with some vermiculite. Now, vermiculite just helps with some moisture control, but it still allows the light to shine through that they'll need in order to germinate. I really will always put vermiculite on, even if they don't need it. But I just find it works so good, especially because up here it gets so humid, even though these will go downstairs. I'm not sure how humid it is down there. Right now it's freezing outside, so it's probably pretty darn dry with the heat going. All right, so that looks pretty good. And then I'm going to go and just do it one more time, and that just helps settle the vermiculite as well. All right, perfect. And we're gonna move on to the next. All right, so now we're moving on to Snapdragons, and I am just super excited. We're growing all the things. I talked about it a little bit more in my previous Snapdragon video, but I did grow Snapdragons last year. I summer planted them for the fall, and they did okay. I did get them from Baker Creek, and unfortunately, it didn't even tell me what group they were in. I kind of just guessed and grabbed them. So that was my mistake right there. I had a couple of them that I could use, but I learned my lesson, and I did a lot more research with the groups and like with the lighting and the day length and all that fun stuff. Johnny's has so much great information. So I'm trying to break down everything by group, giving my flowers a little bit of a succession planting. So we did all the Chantilly varieties in group 1s and 2s last week, but I do have a group 2 that I totally forgot about, and that was Johnny's early sunrise mix. So I will be starting that, and I have 250 seeds, and I just really love all of the different color varieties. So honestly, I think I might do a whole entire tray of it. And then I have 4 other varieties. So we have the Johnny's early sunrise, and I also have Madam Butterfly Ivory, Madam Butterfly Cherry Bronze, Madam Butterfly Bronze, and I have 2, which I do this sometimes and it drives me nuts. I have Madam Butterfly Rose, and I have 500 seeds of them. So one of them I'm going to save for next year. But for basically all of these, I have 250 seeds of them all. So, and I still have some also left over from, I think last spring I tried growing them, and then I forgot about them and they all died. So, and those were all from Swallowtail. So I had some extra cherry bronze, but again, I tried and then it was just lost in the shuffle with everything. And I planted no spring Snapdragons, unfortunately. So that's okay. I did fall plant some. Again, the bunny ate it. So we'll see how those do. So I have so many Snapdragon seeds. I am such an overseeder. I'm going to try not do it. Save some seeds for next year. Or I might try winter sowing some. I really want to experiment with that because I heard people do really well with that. I don't know if it's more just good for landscaping or if it's going to be okay for cut flowers. So I kind of want to experiment, and then maybe I can plant them at the school, but I also don't want to waste seeds. So stay tuned for that. But we will be doing some more winter sowing because I did get some lupin that I want to try out. And I'm going to do that in my winter sowing milk jugs. And then mid-March, we'll be doing all of our warm loving annuals. So let's get to seed starting these Snapdragons, and we're going to start with the Johnny's early sunrise mix. Now again, this is all pre-moistened and ready to go. I have 2 trays like this. I actually purchased these for my Lysianthus, and I didn't want them to go to waste, so I thought Snapdragons would do pretty good in here, especially because the seeds are so small. I didn't want to put them in like a channel tray or in like a takeout container. I don't have time to prick them out and then transplant them in. So I will overseed a little bit, and then if some have like, I did have one little corner and there was like 5 or 6 in there. In a few weeks, I'll prick them out and I'll put them in a 6-cell pack. So then that way I can just let them grow on in there. Last year I did grow them in a 72 count tray. So we'll see how they do. I've never used a small set like this, but Snapdragons, mine actually last week, they took 6 to 7 days to germinate. I left it at 72 degrees Fahrenheit on my heat mat, humidity domes. I do make sure that I moisten them with the spray bottle in the morning and in the afternoon. I just find that like the condensation is just so much at the top, and they don't really dry out, but I just like to just keep them nice and moist and happy. And hopefully this will take the 6 to 7 days again. And then I just move them up on my shelf, and I make sure that my lights are only a few inches off, just so hopefully they won't get all leggy. So I did that. I'll show you what it looks like afterwards, but we're gonna start with the early sunrise mix. And then like I said, I have the 4 other varieties. So I don't know if I want to do a whole entire one because this is my last group 2. So actually the Madame Butterfly is group 3. And oh my gosh, they're so small. So what I like to do is I dropped this whole bag last week. Luckily there was only 50 seeds in it. So we're gonna try and not do that again. But I like to just make a crease in this little baggie and then just tap the sides. Or I'll put them in the palm of my hands and just roll them in. I am not doing the toothpick method. I don't have time for it. Like my kid's already been down for an hour, so we're pushing it. But I'll do that, and then I will do the same thing like I did with the Eryngium. I will take my spray bottle and I will moisten them, put vermiculite on, moisten them again. It really helps get the contact, especially with the Snapdragon seeds being so small. I don't like to push them down with my finger. I'm just too afraid that I'm gonna pick them up and I won't even really notice it. So these should all be good to go. So I'm just gonna tap them in and I'll show you what I do right afterwards. And just like that, we have all 5 trays on the heat mats and under the grow lights. It's one extra than I was planning on, but that's all right because I thought it was really important to get a full tray of the Johnny's Early Sunrise mix in, since that is a group 2, and then the rest of my Snapdragons, besides the Madame Butterfly, are going to be group 3, and then I have a couple of group 4. So I just thought it would be important to bridge that gap between my early group 1s and 2s and then the groups 3. So if I think I only had the Chantilly that was a group 2. So I wanted just one more succession of that, just to keep me going throughout the whole entire year, which is my game plan, because I feel like you can't have too many Snapdragons, just like you cannot have too many Dahlias. So the more the merrier. So we have that ready to go. And then my Sea Holly, they're also on a heat mat. And then I will move them down to the basement after germination. It looks like everything needs about 7 to 10 days. I had about 6 to 7 days for germination with my first round of Snapdragon, so I'm hoping that will be the case again because we have so much to grow. I'm gonna have to actually clear out this table over here to get my other 4-foot heat mat up there so I can grow all of the things. And if you would like to see what we are growing next week, it is going to be another round of Snapdragons, Black-Eyed Susans, Echinops, and Campanella. So I'm going to probably split that up between 2 days, do a little bit on Saturday and a little bit on Super Bowl Sunday. So if you would like to see what is going on and how I'm going to be starting those, we have a lot of firsts this year. Some of these I have not grown before. Go ahead and click like and subscribe and hit that bell button, and I'll see you all next time. Happy gardening.